really lucky at the springs in Pagosa because we have such an amazing variety of temperatures of water that all come from our mother spring. So our mother spring comes out around 140 degrees, which is way too hot for a human to soak in. And so when you come to the springs, you see we have this the beautiful, the deepest spring, artisanal spring in the world, beautiful, rich blue color spring that's right out in front of check-in. And that water then flows out into all the different tubs of the property and lands in those tubs at different temperatures. And we control that by flow rates and stuff like that. And so what you have on the springs property is the ability to really experiment and select different temperatures of water based on your needs and your body's response to those different temperatures. And so doing a contrast circuit at the springs can look a variety of different ways. You can start in a cooler temperatured pool, something like 100 degrees, and just kind of like exist there for half an hour. Just kind of slowly relax into that state. And those kind of longer, lower temperature hot soaks, they're still going to have that metabolic effect, but it will take a little bit longer to get there. And the process is going to engage that relaxation mechanism of the nervous system more effectively than if you go into a much warmer tub or much hotter tub, like 104, 105. There, your body, that stress response to the heat is going to be way more active, way more upfront. So you'll get to this kind of metabolic place a lot quicker, but you're not going to get that same neurologic relaxation. So the team at the Springs, we've put together this really great contrast guide that you can actually go through and look through, and it talks about the different temperatures, it talks about the different effects, and then we have actually kind of a path that you can follow to really explore and experience these contrast circuits on the springs in different capacities. What I would say is find a temperature that you resonate with, somewhere between 100 and 105, maybe to start one of those. Soak in there for 15 to 30 minutes, depending on your tolerance. Don't push it. And then what you want to do is you want to get out, and we have two good cold sources at the springs. Sometimes it's just being out in the ambient air. You'll get that cold exposure. Air has a slightly different quality of transferring that cold than water does, but you'll feel it. Sometimes we have snow on the property, and you can just rub the snow right on your body, which is kind of an ice rub. That's a nice cold effect. But the two main ways that we do the cold phase of our contrast at the springs is they're both based on the San Juan River. River temperature varies throughout the year, but it's usually cold. And so when you get out of your hot soak, make your way down to the river, and you take the stairways down into the water. You want to just dunk yourself, try to get up to your head, and then you can stay there for 10 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes if you're tolerating it. But the thing about cold is you don't want to overdo it, because cold can shock the system a bit. You want to be mindful. You want to make sure that you tolerate it. The other option that we have for cold plunging is actually a good kind of starter method. We have a pool called the Berg, and the Berg is actually situated in the river, but it's in a little alcove that actually has a spring that kind of bubbles out into it. So the Berg is a cooler water, but it's warmer than the actual river water as well. And it's a great way to kind of introduce contrast bathing if you've never done it before. But it's also a good way to, if you're going to be doing a lot of contrast bathing during a day and you want to really just focus on that cycle over and over and over again, maybe you want to stick with a less shocking, a less cold, a less intense cold water, and stick with the Berg. Again, more is not always better, and we have these different ways of operating and engaging these waters.